Hey everyone, Danielle here. My pronouns are she, her, and this is my channel where I talk mainly about cross stitch. And thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you if you are returning, and if you're new here, I hope you like something that you see and decide to stick around. So it is currently Friday, March 8th. It's been about a week since I recorded my last clip, and so I just thought I would come and show you what I've been working on in the last week. It is mainly Gilmoreisms. This is, of course, Gilmoreisms by Forbidden Fiber Co. It's the kit fabric, which is 16 count Casablanca with all of the called for flosses from Leanne. And I'm pretty sure that the last time we saw each other, I know you saw this Rory's Going to Yale block, pretty sure, but I cannot remember if I Will Always Love You was there. So then I worked on this box here because this box, according to the map layout of the chart, was supposed to be for drop 10. So I got it all ready to go, completely stitched up, and then the chart came out and wham. This box was now box 10, and this box down here has become box 11. So apparently there was just a mix-up when Leanne originally created the file that she didn't catch until it was time to release it. So it was like, surprise, this is box 10. So I had to first stitch this box, which is of course one of the bigger boxes of the pattern, and then stitch everything inside. And y'all, don't get me wrong, and I'm gonna sound complaining here, but please note that all my complaininess purely has to do with me and my style of stitching. Doesn't have anything to do with the pattern. I love the I love the overall piece. But first of all, stitching these boxes back to back about broke me, because I find stitching these boxes so freaking frackin' boring that it just about broke me to stitch this box and then find out I had to stitch this box. On top of that, it also broke me because I had been prepared to leave my Q-snap over here and be done with 8, 9, 10. I was like, y'all, I don't have to move the Q-snap for 3 weeks. And then when I move the Q-snap, it's only one more time to do 11, 12, and 13. Yeah, it kind of broke my soul a little bit to find out, oh no, you have to move it over to do 11, or 10, back over to do 11, back over to do 12 and 13. So that broke my soul a little bit. And then, so I got the box stitched, and then I stitched the bell, which this bell is 400 stitches. It's bigger than it looks. And then I went to do this back stitch. And normally for me, back stitch words go quickly. This did not. I don't enjoy backstitch as a general rule. I don't mind doing it, to make a nose or backstitch around some eyes or, whiskers or something small. I absolutely don't mind doing that. But when the design is, dependent upon backstitch, that's when I get a little this is too much for me. This was too much for me. This was a lot of backstitch. I did really well for these first 2 lines, and then I started messing up everything in these bottom 2 lines. A bunch of my T's are messed up. And actually, I was looking at a close-up photo of it after I was done with it. Had posted a picture, and I was zooming in to look at a T, and I noticed that this A right here, I've missed a stitch in it. Y'all, I was I'm really proud of myself for keeping up on this, but then that's the other thing that I'm complaining about. It is not my style of stitching at all to put this many stitches into a project in this kind of time frame. Normally I can manage 1,000 to 3,000 stitches into a project before I'm like, and I'm burned out and I need to move on. But in the last, basically only 2 months, because really this kicked off 9 weeks ago at the beginning of January. In the past, 9 weeks, I've done this project total is somewhere between 11,000 and 12,000 stitches. And I mean, we're almost done. So, I mean, I've put in arguably at least 9,000 stitches in 9 weeks. So I am beyond my limit of capacity for this one. But I'm very proud of myself that I have stayed caught up, because when I decided to take this project on, it was not a project that I wanted, to sit around for a long time. So I'm very proud of myself for keeping up. Very happy that I'm gonna, basically probably finish on time. Yeah. That said, I haven't decided. I have been forewarned that this block has a lot of hole stitching in it. So I don't necessarily want to get too far behind, but I am debating on maybe not starting till the middle of the week. Like, it drops on Monday, and maybe I won't start it till Thursday or Friday, just because I feel like I need to not see this for a few days, at least a few days. I was gonna skip a whole week and then just skip doing box 10 so that I don't have to move the Q snap, do 12 and 13. I keep calling it 10 because it was supposed to be 10. Not do box 11, do 12 and 13, and then come back to 11. But I don't know if I want to get that far behind now that I've been warned that it's a stitch heavy box. But yeah, so that's Gilmorisms. It's coming along. We're almost done. The last drop is in, I think it's March 25th or March 27th, whatever the last Monday of March is. So yeah, that's Gilmorisms. And then, since I was done with that, as of today, or as of yesterday, actually, this is some quasi-secret stitching, but I don't think that the recipient watches my channel, so I won't go into all the details just in case they do. But basically, I'm stitching this for a friend who is ace like me, and they love cats. So I pulled out my Ace variegated floss, which is by Live or Die LA. And I pulled out this scrap. This is actually the leftover fabric from my Ink Circles Round Robin from last year. You can actually see my old stitching. That's not my actual Round Robin project. It was just my first start that I didn't like my colors, so I switched them and I moved the fabric to the other side. You can see my original stitching there. And I stitched up this little ace kitty. And so I'm gonna be getting this into the mail soon-ish. And this just took me like an hour or maybe an hour and a half. And the pattern is actually, so at my LNS, which is Acorns and Threads, they like to decorate the bathrooms, and one of the bathrooms has got all the like cover sheets from Mill Hill kits, which is fun to like just see, see all the different Mill Hills. There's Ben and stuff. And then the other bathroom has got this sort of collage of freebie patterns that they have like Mod Podged onto the wall. And this one was like right on top. And knowing that I was looking for a cat design that I could make an ace kitty, I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. So I just snapped a picture of it. I think it was, it said at the bottom of it, it's a 2006 Bitter Cup Designs, something like that. So I just snapped a picture of it, and like I said, I used my Ace variegated floss, and then just DMC 310 for the whiskers and eyes. And yeah, I think it turned out super cute. I have to count the stitches in this so that I can record my stitching. And then my plan, since I'm gonna take a little breaky break from that, is I can say this because by the time it comes out, will be past this. By the time this video comes out, we'll be past it. There is a super fun plan for Michelle Bendy Stitchy. We're going to, on her birthday, which is in 2 days on Sunday, we're all going to use a hashtag Bendy birthday and share like our finishes of her patterns and whips of her patterns. And I'm going to do a new start, mainly because I'm itching to do a new start. As I was stitching on this, I was like, please give me some, I need some like fresh blood, fresh cross stitch blood. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to start her flamingo pattern, which she did in collaboration. This has been released. Well, I can't, no, not this one. So this was a 2-chart pattern. I think she released that one to the general public last year sometime maybe. But this originally was an exclusive kit to Evertote. And you can kind of see how old it is because at the time they were still Leo and Roxy Floss. Now it's Roxy Floss Co. But I bought this as a kit with the project bag, the fabric, and the floss. And I'm going to be stitching up this one right here. And let me show you the, this is the bag that it came in, which I love. No, I didn't make this easy on myself by leaving the bag unzipped, because of course we couldn't do that. It even has like a little tiny flamingo pull on the zipper. Let's try to do this one-handed. There we go. So this is the fabric that Leo and Roxy dyed. It's not what is the model is stitched on, but this is really beautiful, nice gray. And this is, I'm sure, a 16 count, because 16 count is my jam. And then here are all the colors. I don't think all the colors get used in the one. I don't know for sure if all the colors will get used. Oh my goodness. Was not prepared for this much, like, here. Let's lay them out one at a time so we can appreciate them. I'm not sure if that like icy blue gets used in this pattern. I'm sure both the pink, or all three of the pinks do. Okay, come on. Yeah. There we go. Put that over there. All right, so yeah, there's our color palette. Again, I'm not sure that that color gets used on this nice gray fabric, and I'm gonna be starting that. I mean, if we're being totally honest, I'll be starting it Saturday night because that's how I roll, and then that way I can post about it early in the morning on her birthday and not have to start, you know, not have to save my post for much later at night. So yeah, that is my plans, and then I will go back to Gilmarisms. So the next time I check in, I will have this start to show you, and I will have some more done on Gilmarisms. So that's it. That's all I've got for this clip. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye. Yeah. So today is March 22nd, Friday, March 22nd. I don't even really remember the last time I vlogged. It feels like 84 years ago, if I'm being honest. But I know that the last thing that I had showed y'all was that I was going to start this, and I started it and I finished it. This is the Bendy Stitchy Designs Flamingo Duo. It's one of the Flamingo Duos, which was, I believe that this flamingo is still exclusive to Evertote, but Michelle did release the other flamingo, which is the punk flamingo. But yeah, I've had this kit ever since it came out, and I wanted to start it for Michelle's birthday, so I started it on the 10th, I actually think it was technically the 9th because, you know, I'm kind of an overnight stitcher, so I started it on the 9th, rolling into the 10th. And then I had wanted to have it done, and it was totally reasonable to have it done before I went to the beach, which I left for the beach on the 17th. But I think, so like I did the border and then I did the flamingo, and then I think I was a little burned out on the project. And then, but I was like, I'm so close to finishing because I just have to do these 2 palm leaves. Piper, ma'am, thank you. I just have to do these 2 palm leaves. And so I started them, and I really hated stitching the palm leaves. This kind of like leaves, vines, flowers stitching, I don't tend to enjoy. It's something about, it's has to do with like, how do I get to where I'm going and get back, you know, without like having to carry all the way across, or how, you know, how do I like not, like, I don't want to get somewhere and then like have a ton of floss left but not really have anywhere to take the floss. And something about like vines and flowers and leaves like exasperates that kind of stitching. So the leaves, so I just like barely did any stitches in the days leading up to me going to the beach. So it resulted in me coming home from the beach with having still like, I don't know, 350 stitches left to do on this thing. So done with this now. Yay, finish. And I still have, I cut off my extra fabric, and I still have a good amount of fabric to like do Quirky Quakers on or something like that. So plans. I am so far behind in everything because I did that. I should have been more disciplined and stuck to my goals, but I was just itching for a start, so I just kind of had to. So this hasn't changed since in the 84 years since I vlogged. But the only difference is now box 10 has been out for over a week. It's been out for like a week and 4 days. Didn't stitch it because I was stitching the flamingo and I was ignoring box 10, which does actually have a good chunk of stitches in it, like 1,000. So what I think I'm gonna do, so here's box 11 and 12. This is about the size of box 11, and then box 12. I think, and box 11 is out. I think I'm gonna stitch up box 11. Box 12 releases in like 3 days. So I think I may just finish these 2 boxes because then I can avoid like 2 unnecessary Q-snap moves. And then I'll go back and do this box when I'm done with these 2 is what I'm thinking. So I'm gonna pick this up tonight and get going on stitching this box. Sorry for the shadow, by the way. I've got the flash on the camera plus my stitching light is on. So the lighting is a little weird. But yeah, so I'm gonna get going on this. And then I don't think that I'm getting to this in the month of March, but it'll be the first thing that I turn my attention to. Now I may need a break. I may not be able to go straight through on all 3 of these boxes. So whenever I put this down, I'll be turning my attention to Stitch for Pride. The March drop is chunky. It is like 1,500 stitches or something like that. But so this is, you know, what we have so far. January, February, and then in March I haven't done my learning yet, so not going to comment too much, but I do know that the artist that we are learning about uses, she's like a sculpture artist, a clay artist, and they use like food as sort of inspiration of like food of their culture and food like bringing people together. And so the drop is a bottle of hot sauce. And so I picked out this, the shadow's kind of messing it up, but I thought this was a really good, like, it's reading a little bit more red on camera, but it's a very good, like, reddish orange. I feel like in person it's more orange than red, but it has a good, like, red, you know, tone to it. And this is from Bestitch Me in the colorway Paprika. So that's going to be my Stitch for Pride, which will go, it goes in this vicinity. And yeah, so these are my plans for the next, you know, foreseeable future. I will probably not be done with either of these two goals at the end of the month. So I'll just do a check-in to show you where I'm at the end of the month, and then we'll wrap this vlog up, get it up on the YouTubes and all that stuff. I don't know how much I've talked about it on my videos, but in pretty much almost exactly a month, like 4 weeks from 2 days ago. So what's that, like in 26 days, I am headed to Stitch North weekend 1. I'm actually flying to Indiana, and my friend and I are going to drive to Canada and attend Stitch North weekend 1. And yeah, so I, you know, definitely want I want these two pieces. Well, I want Gilmoreisms done for sure. Like, has to be done before I go to Canada. And then I would like Stitch for Pride to at least be caught up through March before I go to Canada. And then, you know, maybe we'll see, depending on the drop. Maybe I'll take it to Canada to be worked on at Stitch North. I haven't decided what I'm gonna take to Stitch North. I think it's gonna depend on my goals, like what I need to get done. I also did sign up to be in another swap, so strong possibility, since whatever the swap will be smallish, I might take that project to be stitched on. So yeah, we shall see, and I will check in again in about a week at the end of the month, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye. Hey everybody, today is Sunday, March 31st. This is going to be my last clip of this vlog because it's the end of the month. Yeah, so look, I have a finish. Oh, gotta protect it from my dog, who, because I started talking, she just started running over here. I have a finish. Yes, so this this is Gilmoreisms by Forbidden Fiber Co. I'm not always good at like giving all the information every time I talk, so like, but I try really hard, like when I start a project and when I end a project, to do that. So again, Gilmoreisms by Forbidden Fiber Co. And this is stitched on 16 count Casablanca, which is a very light pale blue, dyed by Forbidden Fiber Co. And it is all the called for flosses, also dyed by Forbidden Fiber Co. because I bought this as a kit, as with a PDF chart. I believe you could only get it as a PDF. Yes, because she did weekly drops. She wasn't gonna be sending, you know, paper. Yeah, like I kind of went on a journey with this of different styles of backstitching. And so once I kind of experimented once, so the first time, hold on, let me zoom. The first time I backstitched this block, I did 2 strands of the backstitch. But then I was like, I think that's too chunky for this alphabet, because this alphabet is a little delicate and some of the letters get a little lost, like E's especially, like that little space that should be between the flat stitch and the sideways stitch kind of gets lost. So when the second block came out, I was like, well, let me go ahead and try with one strand of back stitch. I personally don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough coverage, and I feel like when you back away from the piece, you can really tell where I did one strand versus two strand. But I was like, well, I'm not ripping one out to make things consistent. So I just decided from that point forward to kind of do a mix of one strand versus two strand. And then also at this point, I also decided to try long strands versus short strands. Actually, wait, no. Was it in this block? No, not in that block. Not in that block. It's either this block or this block. I decided to try long strand stitching versus short strand. So with the short strand, I would insert the needle whenever I had a square available to me. But with long strand, I did it like, 3 or 4 stitches at a time to make like the full, the full sideways or the full T or the full L, and yeah, I I just I think the most challenging part of this piece to me was the backstitch alphabet. I don't mind stitching backstitch alphabet usually, but I guess maybe it's also that I've just never done this much backstitch alphabet. And so it was a lot, and it nearly broke me. But basically, all that to say that I then tried to kind of vary my backstitch as far as, do I do one strand, do I do two strand, do I do long stitch, do I do short stitch, just so that then at least it wouldn't look so like, it wouldn't look like, oh, I messed up on one of them and then I did all the rest of them the same way or the right way or whatever. I wanted it to, once I did something differently once, I knew I needed to kind of repeat those varying styles. But yeah, we have got to finish. Also, I will just, being like, I will point out my mistakes. In this block, like, I was having an issue with the T's in these 4 lines, and especially in the second and third line. Like, I just kept messing up where the T's were supposed to be crossed. It was ridiculous. And then when I got to this row, I stitched all these 3 boxes at the same time. And so this box had been stitched for a while because like I said, I stitched all these 3, like stitched the box, did the drop, stitched the box. And then I came and stitched this box, did the drop. And then I, because my Q-snap was already over here and I was kind of taking a break from this piece when this drop came out, I decided I would just do these drops and go back for this drop. So, as I said, this box had been stitched for quite a while when I was stitching this block. And as I was trying to, so like when I have a lot of counting to do, right, I will try to like line it up with other, points of, points of interest. And so I had stitched along here. Obviously I couldn't really line it up to anything. There's not much right here. But then I just counted it like 4 times. And then I come down and I'm trying to line up this bottom stitch to this bottom stitch. But my count was off. Like, I was showing that I was at the right count for the box, but I was still a stitch short of meeting it visually. And so then I counted this box and I was like, oh, I am a stitch too long on this box. So needless to say, it wasn't coming out because A, I would have had to move the Q-snap. B, I would have had to take out both of these corners and then this whole, line of however many stitches that is, and these corners, and then I would have had to restitch it a stitch up. I was like, it's fine. I'll just add an extra space between everything. So like this deer, his feet should actually be one stitch closer to hit me. With the car's in the right spot. You want to devil egg is in the right spot, and the egg is in the right spot. But then Jess's car should be like one more stitch closer to devil egg. But it's fine. I was like, and then like with these, like I spaced this off the corners and this off the corners, and then I just started the back stitch off of here. There should be one less space here. Yeah, and then I did mess up the car a little bit. The car should be one stitch shorter, but I messed up this little like silver area of the car, and yeah, made my car one stitch longer. So those are my errors. But honestly, even though there were definitely parts of this that I did not enjoy stitching, I really love the end product. Happy to have it done. I'm happy to add to my finished pieces for Gilmore Girls. And yeah, like basically whenever anybody says Gilmore Girls, I will throw you my money. So, and I'm also extremely proud of myself for keeping up with this, finishing this when the sale wrapped up. The last drop had come out on last Monday, and I was like already ready for it. In fact, I was so ready for it, and it wasn't coming out. Like the emails varied. Sometimes the emails would come out at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes they wouldn't come out until like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And I had finished this deer up, and I had no block 13. So I had about this much in my Q-snap that I could reach. And so I just started stitching the car. I was like, okay, we're going to make progress. So it didn't even take me, it took me like 2 extra days to finish it than it would have had I been caught up when block 13 came out. And that is very impressive because after I was done with this block, I basically got 2 weeks behind. So in the span of a week, I think I did 3 weeks worth of work. But like part of why that's just like such a big accomplishment for me, because I don't normally work this much on a single project in this span of time. This project has been going on now for 3 months, January, February, and March. I mean, technically a little over 3 months because it was 13 weeks. And I normally will put in like 1,000 to 3,000 stitches on a project before I'm ready to move on. And it's not to say that I couldn't come back and do some more work. And I did do that a couple of times, like when I did the flamingo and when I did like my little Stitch North Small, and then I've done a couple, of those secret gift stitches for people. It's just that like I have so many whips that I don't normally come back to something right away. So I normally do like 1,000 to 3,000 stitches on something, and then I don't touch it again for a long time. And I really worried that if I put this down, that it might just get lost for a long time, and I didn't want that to happen. So this was a lot of work for me. I am still kind of feeling really burnt out on it, but I do love it. Happy to have it done. Happy to have it in my collection of finished Gilmore Girls pieces. I really need like an idea of something to do with all my finished Gilmore Girls pieces. Like I would love for them to live together, be finished together somehow. But I don't even know how that would work. Only thing I can come up with is a very long or like a very big wall hanging, like basically a blanket sized wall hanging. But yeah, so that is Gilmoreisms. So the only other thing that I've worked on after I was done with Gilmoreisms, I turned my attention to Stitch for Pride. This is the March drop. In March, we learned about Stephanie Shi, and Stephanie is a Taiwanese American artist who her medium is clay and ceramic, and she most commonly depicts food in her art, and it is like food that is from her. Originally it was like from her upbringing, like specifically her background, but then she sort of expanded into the all Asian and like Asian American very like recognizable things, like things that, you know, would have been in your pantry, would have been on your table every day. And the point of a lot of her work is to, like, there's like a nostalgic factor to, you know, well, there's like a huge nostalgic factor to like food and a lot of like emotional response to food. But then also what I found interesting is how like this can also kind of explore like themes of colonization, because like things that wouldn't have been introduced into these Asian cultures if it were not for colonization. So it's very interesting work. And like when I was looking at photographs of her sculptures, basically, it was just like stunning to see like how real these things looked, like so real and lifelike. So very cool, very different like take on art, I think, like to, you know, be like one of the first, I think in the video I watched, one of the first things she said she did for food was dumplings. And so it's just so interesting to see food created from clay. It's really fascinating. I really enjoyed it. And so this is a bottle of sriracha sauce. And one of the articles that I think, no, it was in the video. It was in one of the YouTube videos. You actually got to see the bottle that inspired Dee to make this. Speaking of Dee, let me give you the details on all this. So again, this is Stitch for Pride, designed by Dee of Dee's 20 Stitches. Dee, and then this fabric is 16 count Determination by Jessie at Mislaid Pages. And I was not fortunate enough to get the called for floss pack, so I'm doing my own colors from Stash. This is a Bestitch Me silk in the colorway Paprika, which I thought was, you know, fitting because food. And so I am about, I think, I know I'm over 50%. Let's check on the tablet. I'm like 53% done. I still have a little under 700 stitches to do. The only thing I'm debating is when I get to the lid at the top. Okay, so like I really want to stitch it in green because then the bottle would look like the actual bottle with the green cap. But so far, this is a monochromatic piece, and I just don't know, like, if I want, like, ultimately what could happen is I get all 12 motifs stitched, and this is the only one that's not monochromatic. And I don't know that I'm okay with that. So what I might do is I might leave the cap off for now and see how other drops go. And like, because so far I'm really trying to stick close to called for. I did not stick close to called for this because I didn't even have anything remotely close to called for. It was a highly variegated floss. Didn't have anything remotely close to called for. And personally, I thought that the design got super lost in that variegation. So I wanted to find a, orangey red, reddy orange, whatever color to do it in. So I'm torn between wanting the bottle to look more accurate by doing a green cap. But if this ends up being, I guess I can zoom in a little bit more. If this ends up being like the only one that isn't monochromatic, I don't know if I could live with that. So I figure if I keep the cap off and then there's something else where I just have to add another color, then I would go back and do the lid in green. But if I get through all 12 months and I'm like, no, everything is monochromatic, what I'll do is I'm going to pull, I need 2 lengths of floss to do the cap. I'm going to pull those 2 lengths and put them in a little baggie and have it live in the sleeve with the bag or with the project. And so I'll make that decision. Probably, if I do something else that's not monochromatic, then I'll stitch those in after I've made that decision. But like if I get all the way to December and I'm like, nope, everything's monochromatic, then in December I'll go back and stitch the lid. I just don't feel like it's a decision that I can make right now unless I'm willing to pull out 100 stitches to put them back in. So, but before I wrap up this, that's all I've stitched. And I will, at the very, very end, because I haven't calculated my March stitches yet. I know the last couple months I've been putting those total stitches into my wrap-up video. I haven't calculated any of that yet. So at the very, very end, I'll put just like a little screen on for a few seconds that shows how many days I stitched, how many stitches I stitched, how many starts and finishes I had, just a little statistics page. But before that, before I let you go, I wanted to show you I have some finished items. I have 4 fully finished items. And I wanted to show them to you. So this first one is actually from my Snarky Sassy swap, which was run by Heather from Link is My Homeboy, but the swap page is called like Stitching Swaps or Stitching and ATC Swaps, I believe, something like that. And I signed up for the Sassy and Snarky swap because I liked the idea of the theme. But it was a very hard theme to like communicate what I would want. One of the questions was like, list some favorite comedians. And I was like, I don't really do comedians and my brain doesn't have like a great search engine anyway. So I listed a bunch of television shows that I like as far as to try to communicate, that's the kind of like sarcasm and that's the kind of humor that I like. So one of the shows that I listed was Schitt's Creek. And I got this so cute pillow from M. Kissa Creations on Instagram and YouTube, I believe. And she designed this herself, and it's not coming across at all in the camera, but she did use étoile. So this is on like a black Lugana. This is like a black. And she did the white étoile. And I about died when I saw it because I was like, that would literally kill my eyes. And then on the back, she put this cute little felt heart. And yeah, there was a couple goodies in with it. Like I got a bendy stitchy pattern that I did not own. and she sent me a beautiful skein of Color and Cotton floss and a little like grab bag sized piece of Color and Cotton fabric. So this, I could not have been happier. I was like so curious what I would get out of this swap, and did not disappoint. And I did sign up to do the next swap, which is called Awesome Animals. And I was like so excited for that, because I was like, it also, like, not only did I have a hard time communicating what I would have wanted out of the Sassy Snarky swap, I had a very hard time like deciphering what my partner would want out of the Sassy Snarky swap. But this one I was like, how straightforward is animals? Like, I think the hardest thing about the animals is choosing which animal I want to stitch for my partner out of what they say they like. So, and I was so easy in my form. I was like, where do I even start? Let's start with the ocean animals, shall we? And so I'm really looking forward to it. In fact, I already have my pattern for my partner, and yeah, I will be getting started on that in the month of April, because it has to be started by the end of April. Could very well go to Stitch North with me. It's only about 500 stitches, so it should stitch up pretty quick, probably just like 2 nights, maybe 3 if they're bad stitchy nights. So that's that. And then these next 3 are courtesy of Acorns and Threads. They have a new finisher at Acorns and Threads. Her name is Tammy. If you're familiar with Acorns and Threads, you probably know for a long time their finisher has been a lady named Jolynn, but Jolynn has semi-retired from fully finishing. She still teaches classes, and I believe she's still doing it as sort of like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge favor to, like friends, family, people she really loves, but she just cannot sustain doing the amount of fully finishing like for the shop, overall. So she has semi-retired, and the shop brought on a new fully finisher who worked with sort of like apprenticed with interned under Jolynn's supervision, and did some like stuff for the shop and whatnot before they sort of transitioned the fully finishing over to Tammy. And so these are all have all got dropped off with Acorns after Tammy has taken over. And I dropped 3 things. I've been trying to take things in for fully finishing whenever I go, because I have a bunch that I want to get. Now that I've dropped these 3 and I have another batch of like 4 things, I don't have nearly as many, which is good because like, while I feel it is completely worth paying the money for, because I don't have the skill, I don't have the desire to do this work, it was also like slightly shocking. The bill that came in was for 3 items was slightly shocking. So I was like, okay, cool your jets a little bit, maybe take 1 thing, take 1 item, maybe 2, with you to drop off for fully finishing. And if I do that, once a month to once every 2 months, space it out a little bit. But so these are the things that I got back from her. This, oh my gosh, this pillow, I love this pillow. The design is called Pride Star. It's by Marumi Crafts. I stitched it on a 16 count Bestitch Me opalescent, 16 count opalescent twinkle. And I did make modifications. The way that Miriam charted this is that all these empty stitches in the bands are actually supposed to be black, but I saw somebody stitch it without the black, and I thought it gave it a much lighter, airier feel. And then I figured, a little bit more of the fabric gets to show through that way. And then another person I saw on Instagram filled in the hearts. The hearts are not supposed to be filled in the original pattern, but I filled in the hearts to be the ace flag colors to represent me. So this is my squishy little pillow. And then I provided this fabric because I found it at Joann's. I thought I was going to make this pillow myself. And so I bought fabric for it, and then I was like, nah, No, I'm not making this pillow myself. But yeah, so that's my Pride Star pillow. And then I love this one. So this is Let's Make a Statement #1 by D's20 Stitches. Trans rights are worth more than boy wizards. I will die on that hill. And I wanted this to be a stand-up. I love a stand-up, like a block. I think it's called a block finish. I love a block finish because I like to display things on shelves, and then this is just perfect because it just stands, well, yeah. So, bad example, because this is like a blank, there you go. It just stands up, and so I don't need anything to prop it. But yeah, she did so. And what I loved about working with Tammy was that she actually messaged me. Well, she called me and was like, hey, let's talk about your, fabric choices. And like, she would ask me like, how thick do you want the block? And then she messaged me choices for fabrics for the back. So this was the fabric that I chose out of what she sent me because I felt like these colors were very close to, obviously the pink, and then that green is just close enough to blue that I was like, hey, that's kind of the trans colors. And then she picked this pink ribbon and this lace, and then I was just blown away at this pen that she put in there. I thought it was gorgeous. And a little bow on top. And then also she puts little pins in the bottom so that the fabric isn't actually sitting on whatever shelf or whatever you put it on. So there's these little pins that just elevate it ever so slightly. Oh, and then this is stitched on a 14 count Picture This Plus. I think it's dusk. It's whatever the Picture This Plus is that's like sort of a charcoal gray. I stitched it with the pink, blue, white, green, and yellow are all Bestitch Me silks. And the trans rights was done with, I cannot remember the name of it, but there is a Karen Water Lilies that variegates from sort of that creamy white to blue to pink. I thought it was too heavy on the white for me personally, so it's not one that I would use again. I want to try this year when I go to Stitch North to buy some of the Brennan needle, which is what's actually called for all these Let's Make a Statements. So I should try to buy some of that and see if I like that variegation better. Yeah, so that is Let's Make a Statement #1. And then this was the last item that I picked up. I cannot remember the designer name on this one, but I purchased it off of Etsy, and it's called My Uterus is a Bitch. Very straightforward. I had my eye on this pattern for a long time. Oh, I stitched it on a 16 count mislaid pages fabric. I believe it's called X-Ray. And I stitched it in Cosmo. I was wanting to try Cosmo, and I figured this little 3-color pattern would be perfect to give Cosmo a try. But yeah, I'd been wanting to stitch this for a long time, had my eye on it for at least a year and a half, I would say. And then finally I was going through some medical stuff pertaining to my uterus and basically found out that my uterus is just a bitch. So thought that was the perfect time to actually stitch this up. And this orange, like this is so perfect, these colors. I love the orange ribbon around it, and then this was the fabric that I chose from the option she sent me. And then she also put little pins in this little bow here and the lace, and again we've got the pins down here. So yes, I am very happy with these pieces. I have 4 pieces at the shop right now, which should be getting picked up in April, I believe, for her to start working through that batch of stuff. And they are my Evertote countdown piece, my Bendy Stitchy snowman design, my giraffe from the blue flower that I did, and oh, and then actually the other one isn't something that I stitched. It's a my friend and I did a swap of sorts where we stitched each other the same pattern, but we did like all our own picks for flosses and fabrics. And neither of us are good fully finishers. And she had tried to make a pillow. This was a while ago now, like this was this was definitely in 2022. So you would have to go way back to find those videos. So I'll show it when I get it back. But I did my normal, like, slap it on a board. Actually, had I known about Starry Night Studios at the time, I would have bought a finishing board from her, but I didn't, I don't know if she was not doing it then or if I just didn't know about her at that point. But I like slapped it on a board, wrapped fabric around it, and put like some pom-pom trim around it and called in a hanger, a ribbon hanger, and called it a day. She attempted to make a pillow and probably did a better job than I could have done. But she was like, admittedly, she was like, hey, my pillow sucks. If you want to do something else with it, go ahead. And so what I did was I took the pillow to Acorns and I said, hey, just repair this. She actually made the pillow quite large. So there's definitely enough, extra material to basically deconstruct the pillow and just make it a little smaller, and still use the same like backing fabric and stuff that my friend used. So I dropped that off too. So that's the 4 projects that Acorns has right now. And I'm sorry that just this clip is 35 minutes long. Normally try to keep things a little lower than that. But anyway, so plans for April. I'm going to finish this block for Stitch for Pride. Obviously, I want to stitch the April block, preferably in April and not take it over into May. I need to stitch up, at least start my little awesome animal swap. I need to finish my Caroline Manning round robin. 2 of the gals in the group have already finished hers. As soon as Mandy picks it up, it's going to be finished in like a day. So we're going to target, it was supposed to be the end of March, but now we're targeting the end of April for getting that finished. So need to pick that up. And then I want to work on some older whips. I am going to take 3, I believe, probably 3 older whips to Stitch North with me. And yeah, I have not worked on my older, more established whips in a really, really long time. So those need to get some freaking love, let me tell you. So I'm definitely like not gonna be... My dog just yipped and then growled in her sleep. That was cute. I'm definitely not gonna be like signing up for anything much that I have to like keep up with that's like too big for my capacity. No. I really want to get some good work on older whips. So, all right, gonna let you go. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. And I will see everybody in the next vlog. That also might be kind of long because I'll have Stitch North stuff. So, and hopefully clips from at least 2 or 3 local needle workshops from my road trip portion. So, all right, see y'all next month. Bye.